That has to be the first match in English League history, hasn't it, where the winning goal's been scored after the full-time whistle?
I think it probably is. Yeah. Don and I were chatting earlier on. We think we'd seen a VAR incident similar in a French game, I think it was last year, when the players had gone into the change.
Oh, yeah, they had, yes.
And the referee was on the pitch. And
come back.
They were in the dressing room.
Yes, they were.
The referee checked the VAR and he had to get them back.
They were running the bath, weren't they? Putting the bubble bath in. Oh, come back. We'll have that. An incredible finish. Let's do it chronologically, though. Lamptey is one speedy fullback, isn't he?
Me and Leroy Rossini had done some analysis on him on Friday night, and the kid has got so much quality. He's got fast feet. He's as quick as you like. Yeah. So nimble. Gets in great positions. It is a penalty. I think Bruno Fernandes has got to try and pull out of that. You can see the ears are coming together. Yeah. But the kid is in sensational form. I mean, what a signing for £4 million from Chelsea. Bargain.
He uses the ball so well, doesn't he?
Oh.
Very positive.
Fantastic. Penalty? Chris Cavanagh's right on the spot, wasn't he?
I think so. That's the channels they worked on. I think there's enough there for a penalty. I wouldn't disagree with that decision.
Do you like... We ought to explain. It's called a panenka because in 1976, Czechoslovakia, as was, beat West Germany, as was, and this was the winning penalty by, I think it was called Anton Panenka, wasn't it? Antonin Panenka.
OK.
That's why it's called Panenka.
Dion doesn't like it.
You don't like it? Why do you not like it?
I don't know.
Do you think it's disrespectful?
No, I don't know. It's very, very confident, and it looks great when it goes in. If my player took a penalty like that and he missed, I'd be very, very angry.
Yes.
If somebody takes a penalty like Vardy's we've just seen and he misses, I've got nothing to say.
No.
That's just...
Too much risk.
Yeah, agreed.
Loads of risk.
Absolutely agreed.
When it comes off, it's brilliant because it's almost like it is disrespectful in a good way.
Yes, I don't mind the disrespect. You've got to be arrogant. You've
got to be in it. You've got to pull it off.
Absolutely.
But we've seen some high-profile ones over the last decade where they haven't come off.
Yeah.
And you can look a bit of a fool.
You look a bit silly, don't you?
You do.
To be
but
honest.
you've got to make sure if you're going to do that trick, you've got to make sure.
I mean, you are, and I've said it many times. Taking a penalty is a very precious situation. So why heap yourself? Why get more pressure heaped on yourself?
Why make it harder?
Yeah, you are.
That could easily hit the crossbar.
Yeah, and you've got to get the right amount of contact, haven't you? Otherwise, you just scuff it.
If you get, you have to get perfect contact.
Yeah.
Even though, was it 6'4" the goal? 6'5"? That you should know this, Chris.
No, it's 8 foot. They've got.
Thank you very much.
Depends if it's in Bulgaria or
That was a test.
That was a test. That was a test.
I'll do it in metric in a minute.
Yeah.
Well, if you get it wrong, you know, he's not got a lot of space to get it right.
OK, on to one of the many controversial incidents of the weekend when it came to penalties or non-penalties. Right, so, Connolly away from Pogba. Connolly runs across the ball, towards the ball, initiates contact. The penalty is given. Chris Foy.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah. nice, easy one to start with. Well, I was watching the game live, and when I saw this, I actually went, penalty.
Yes.
And because it's a penalty, we know it's going to be reviewed. So Simon Hooper looks at this and recommends a review. Now, last season, that decision would just have been changed, but now we've got the RRA and we've got the monitor. The referee gets the ability to go across to the screen, and Chris Kavanagh goes across and looks at the footage. I think what you said there was right. He sort of steps across him and goes to ground. And I don't think it was a penalty, and I wasn't surprised when it was overturned. And in so much as a little bit later on, he did exactly the same thing, Connolly, with Harry Maguire in the penalty area again. So I was comfortable with that, but we've now got a referee who's made a decision and then gone to look at it again and gone, you know what?
So you think that, obviously, because it's one thing to think it wasn't a penalty, it's another thing to think that it's not a clear and obvious error.
Very quickly, just look at Pogba's left knee.
I can understand what you're saying, Don.
And I think the question is, Chris, as well, is once the referee gave the penalty, it doesn't seem that much, or it does seem clear and obvious why he's overruled himself. Yes. There's enough in that for the referee to stick with his original decision.
I agree with you for what it's worth. I'm not sure it was a penalty, but having been given, I'm not sure there's enough to overturn it.
I think because the VAR recommends a review and the referee looks at it, I think the sort of actions of Connolly, sort of making that movement away, tells me that it's not a penalty. And I don't think too many people would disagree with what they've seen there, because I don't think Pogba really does a great deal. But again, it's that threshold, isn't it, of clear and obvious.
Not sure
I don't think there's much difference between the Bruno Fernandes penalty and then that one that we just saw.
They're all very similar, aren't they? We've seen some very similar penalties.
And you're taught, Dion, as well. We're always taught, when you get in a foot race with a defender, if you get in the 18-yard box, make sure you step across the defender or the player tracking you back, because he will bring you down, or you can try and initiate some sort of contact.
He'll bump into
There'll be
you.
contact. Yeah, there'll be contact.
So therefore, you've got two options. You can either really try and stay on your feet and take the shot on, or if you feel enough contact, you're in your right to go down.
But we were talking here on Saturday night with Dermot Gallagher, and we were talking about the direction of travel of the ball. And that Connolly is sort of stepping away from the ball. You know, if you're stepping towards the ball and you still get bumped from behind, you know, that's one thing if you've sort of initiated contact. But he's gone that way, hasn't he, when the ball's going forward? Would that be another thing that would make the referee think I've made an error?
It's another contributory factor. It's quite interesting. The last two games we've watched, I think we've just seen 5 virtual... similar penalty decisions, whether it's a ploy now by the attackers thinking if I get in front. So these are situations that referees have got to be aware of because, you know, in real time, they're really difficult.
What's the way he's running, Dion? Because Don doesn't think it was a penalty, but you can see he steps across the ball. He's across the path of Pogba, effectively away from the ball, or at 90 degrees to the ball.
Yes, I think that's more of not a penalty than it is a penalty. To be honest, I'd go that way. I would go more no penalty than 4.
And you're happy, therefore, that it comes under clear and obvious error category?
Yeah, I'd have thought so, yeah. Definitely.
Interestingly enough, what's your thoughts on the referee going to the screen and you know, and he's actually stayed with his changed his original decision.
I like that because it's brave.
Me too. I think if you see the referee taking charge of the situation and then he makes a decision which he's happy with, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
And that's what the screen's for, I think.
So the final whistle is blown because Brighton have cleared a corner and Brighton think they've got a point, which frankly they deserve, but wasn't over yet because Neil Maupay, for whatever reason, did this.
Panicked. He's panicked.
He must have,
It's a definite penalty. Definite penalty. It is unusual circumstances, but within the time frame, Chris, so it's a definite penalty and the referee's correct to, even though the final whistle has gone, because that happened in real time, if you like.
Well, it did. It happened in game time, and the on-field decision was no penalty because the referee didn't give a penalty, and the VAR has actually spotted, well, there should have been a penalty, not awarded. And when you look at that, that's a clear handball. It's textbook stuff, and you come back and go, that's a penalty. That is VAR. Everything we've talked about over the last 18 months has come to fruition there, hasn't it? Because it's a big decision. The referee didn't see in real time, looks at the monitor.
And that's every category you'd want, isn't it? Arm in an unnatural position, arm raised at head height.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Well, Don said he panicked because he should have got out there quicker. And he hasn't got out there quick enough. He's like, oh, no, I can't use my head. Let me put my hand up.
It's all the scenarios that happens in a game, which is really hard to try and control. But the fact that it got to the 100th minute and Man United have got a corner and you're 2-2, everything's panic stations because you don't want to concede, because if you do, the final whistle's going to go and that is the game over, especially when you've played so well, hit the crossbar 5 times and at times battered Man United, so he's panicked there big time. That's what happens when you're in that environment with so much going on. It's easy sitting here. You'd never make that mistake sitting here, but in game time, you do.
Contrasting emotions there, Neil Maupay. We saw him with the Panenka penalty and scoring it and what he meant. To be honest, I don't know who was doing that too. But come the end of the game, I think he was shedding real tears because he felt a bit of a fool, didn't he? There we go.
Just a little bit of karma.
Well, possibly.
You know.
Possibly. Fernandes, we heard in commentary, had scored 17 penalties in a row in league football in Portugal and England. He made that 18. He's one serious... I mean, we talk about Vardy. He's a serious penalty taker, this fella.
Yeah,
as well, isn't it?
I like the way he approaches his penalty in regards to the mindset and physically as well, because he does his skip sometimes, he doesn't do his skip. The goalkeepers are waiting, is he going to do the skip? They're not quite sure. So, you know, it's a mind game now. Him and the keeper. The keepers now have less information on him because they're not sure what he's going to do.
No.
So he's keeping them guessing. And his execution.
Oh, brilliant.
It's brilliant.
Amazing.
Connection with the ball.
We've had stats given to us for about 17 years now in the Premier League. This is the first time since we've had those stats that any team has hit the woodwork 5 times in one game. Trossard hit it 3 times. There's a bit of a gag in this country. If something happens to you 3 times, you get to keep it. So Trossard gets to keep the goal frame because he kept hitting it, didn't he? I mean, it's remarkable.
Dee, where do you stand? Because I keep hearing people saying you might as well hit the corner flag. And it absolutely wrecks my head in because you're an inch away from finding top corners.
Yeah.
Well, it might hit the post and come back to your teammate who pops it in.
People say it's bad finishing. So I just think it's very unlucky.
It's just not quite good enough.
Very
Look,
unlucky.
that could have easily gone in, couldn't it? That was Solly March.
Yeah, listen, very unfortunate.
That he went for power there.
Very unfortunate at the weekend. They were played very well.
If you hit the woodwork 5 times, you're going to think
well.
that one's going to bounce in.
Yeah, they played
aren't
very
you?
well.
I would think if I hit the woodwork, or my team hit the woodwork 5 times, it's desperately unlucky.
Yeah, I
rather
agree.
than bad finishing.
Yeah.
That's harsh, isn't it? That's
People
harsh.
say, I've heard, might as well hit the corner flag.
Negative people does.
Before we go to break, Man United have got to be a lot better because that was an astonishingly fortunate win.
Yes. Let's go to the break.
Where have you placed them in your top 4? No, tell us. Tell us.
Yeah, they're in there. They're in there. They're in top
They're in there.
4.
They're going to have to do a lot better than that. Right, we'll take a break, and in part 2, we'll be looking at... Jamie Vardy is only 3 goals behind you in Premier League tally.
Yeah, I don't like him anymore. I don't like him anymore. He's getting too close.
Played his first game in the Premier League in August 2014. I mean, it's remarkable what he's achieved and what he continues to achieve. And we're going to talk about a lot of controversial penalties in this programme, but not in this game. Thankfully,
No.
they were all penalties and they were all dispatched, and Vardy got 2 of them.
Yeah, listen, it's the Vardy show for me. He was outstanding. His runs were great. He was very positive. Man City's defence had no answer to what Leicester threw at them. And I'm talking about the movement, the energy. They defended lazy Man City. But Vardy's goals...
Yes, that's lazy defending, isn't it? Walker just tugging him down.
He's wrong side.
Yeah.
And we'll see Mendy's later as well. They're wrong side. Don and I said it while watching that. They're wrong side. It's lazy defending. You're always going to have to connect with that player if you want to get in the right position. So put yourself in the right position in the first place.
We mentioned this the first weekend of the season. Once upon a time, Jamie Vardy would take a penalty and he'd whack it as hard as he could, and sometimes it went in, sometimes it was saved. It's as if now he's got some sort of forensic, intellectual, academic approach to penalty taking, that there was too much luck in the old method. Now I'm going to think about where I'm going to place it.
I think that's been Jamie Vardy in general, Mark, over the last 2 or 3 seasons. I think when he got in front of goal, and he was prolific when he was in front of goal, it was head down, strike it, hit it firm, make sure connection's good, and try and get it on target. Now there's a lot more thought, and that comes with experience, where he's a lot more calmer in front of goal. He's obviously got so much confidence. And you're right, when you see his penalties, these are not smashed. You know, that is a terrific penalty, high into the top left.
Never going to save that,
Not
ever.
in a million years. So he's confident, he's more measured. As you said there, he's picked his spot, he's lazy defending. No pressure on the ball, which is always the golden rule. You've got to drop off, you can't keep a high line.
First time he's ever conceded 5. This is Pep Guardiola. Ever a team of his have conceded 5. Second Vardy goal was a brilliant finish, isn't it? This is really clever, cute finish.
It is. He gets across his man and he just lets it go past his forward leg, which is his left leg, and he kind of skips on it with his right. It's the only way that he can score the goal or get good connection on the goal and aim it towards the near post. Defending again.
Back line, the shape of it, Dion.
Terrible.
It's not even in a straight line.
And this is Man City, one of the best teams in Europe.
Does well to get enough elevation off that back foot.
Yeah, so he kind of lets it hit his laces.
Yeah.
It's not his toe, it's not his shin. Lets it hit his laces and it goes up over where the keeper's come to sort of protect. I think he's the only player that scored 2 hat-tricks, I think, against Pep's teams.
Yeah, wow. And the only other person, as Peter said in commentary, Messi scored a hat-trick, but Jamie Vardy scored 2 hat-tricks.
But he's smart, and even that finish there, maybe a Jamie Vardy 4 or 5 years ago would have got across his marker to the near post. Then he would have went for power.
Yeah,
now he's cute, he's got in front
with a narrower angle, of course, because he'd have had to come that
finish,
way.
So you go for that sort of Cruyff finish, but to get the little dink with the elevation, that's very smart.
So we've had 1 penalty. Let's have a look at the next penalty. This is great for Michael Oliver, who's our best ref, isn't he, Chris? He's on the spot and he gets these right straight away.
It's really pleasing as a referee when you give a penalty, because in that situation nobody says a word to him, because he's absolutely, as you say, on the spot, in the right position. He makes a judgment. To give 3 in a game and nobody actually is talking about his testimony to the work he's put in on that particular day.
Yeah, that's Garcia, just too slow again, Don, to react to the danger.
And listen, it'll come with experience. We all make mistakes, and we've all been there when you're young. And this is Jamie Vardy again, penalty, calm, bottom right-hand corner. But Garcia's got to get into his game, the same as John Stones and Nathan Ake and Otamendi. These guys who are not great defenders, when someone plays a little cute pass down the side of you, you've got to then try and think, which is hard because you've got to think quite rapidly. That pass has been played there for a reason. So there must be a centre forward that's darting a run, or a midfield player that's darting. Someone must be around me, even if I can't see him. And if that's the case,
Well, let's have a look at the third penalty, because it's carbon copy. Every time is a little ball in the channel, inside left or inside right.
But look at the lines. Look how far Mendy is away from... I know he's trying to keep an eye on Castagna, the player outside of him, but he should be a little bit closer to Nathan Ake. Then he gets himself in a bad position. Now it's got to be hands in the air. Hands in the air to signal to the referee, I'm not going to foul him, ref. And he doesn't do it. It's very, very naive. It's a pull and there's a touch with the knee. It's a great spot by the referee. Great officiating.
Leicester, the first team to score 3 penalties in a single Premier League game. How did Manchester City respond? Ruben Diaz for the best part of 60 million, whatever it is, from Benfica, whatever the exchange rate is today.
With Otamendi going the other way.
With Otamendi going the other way. It's a lot of money they've spent on defenders in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
There's about 350, 400 million on the whole back line.
From what I've seen of them so far, they're quite a way off. It sounds stupid.
Yeah.
It sounds
a remarkable sentence, but you're right.
It is, but from what I've seen so far of City, so I'm thinking, wow, that's not the City from last season or the City that blows teams away like Leicester have done to them.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think they've got to get it right. They have to get it right soon.
This recruitment, this one's got to be spot on.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Because you start to look as someone who analyses the game, and then you start to look, if you're a player and you're a manager playing against them, you start to pick holes in them, where... When you played against Arsenal, you stood in the tunnel and you thought, we've got to be on it today to try and get anything out of the game. Same when you played against Jose's Chelsea and Fergie's Man United side. You stand in the tunnel and you feel as though you've got to be right on it because this is a top-class side. And all of a sudden, once you lose that, and Man United lost it for a while, Chelsea then lost it for a while, so did Arsenal. As a player, you stand in the tunnel thinking, well, I can get at him because he's got a rick in him, he's got a mistake in him. I can get at the other centre-half, he's young, I can get at him. So the players that are playing against this City back five, when they're playing against them every week, they'll start to change their attitude, thinking, actually, we can get something.
So do you think a bit of their aura has evaporated?
Definitely. Well, definitely, when you look at the players that are playing, and you think, Benjamin Mendy hasn't lived up to his price tag. Otamendi certainly hasn't. He's been there for a number of years, and that's why he's on the way out. John Stones is a footballing centre-half. Nathan Ake, I think, will be a good signing.
Garcia's a bit of a kid, isn't he?
Learning his game.
Yeah.
And Laporte seems to be Nathan Ake's best partner at the moment until Diaz comes in. Kyle Walker, I think he's a very, very good player, but he's still got that mistake in him.
Cancelo, we don't really see enough of,
do we? He should know better. So there's so many players where you think he could go, he could go, he could... We're top side, Mark. It should never be... When you look at, like, when United were flying, you pick their back five and it's set in stone. Now Liverpool, you pick that and you can name it every single week when everyone's fit. With Man City at the moment, it's like he's trying to find... and he's trying to go and buy one and drop him in, hoping he's going to be the answer. It might even be in front of them. You know, Fernandinho and Rodri mightn't have been a good enough screen for the centre half.
Is Rodri as good a screen as Fernandinho is? No, you see, that's...
You have to go a long way to find someone better than Fernandinho, I've got to say.
But then Pep will always say, we don't score enough goals at the other end. Because that's his
But is he admitting with Diaz, I need a company type figure back there,
definitely.
where their first job is to defend rather than everybody? Can they play out from the back? Are they a footballer? Let's defend first and foremost.
Yeah, just go and do your job first.
Yes, it says next to your profession on your passport, defender.
Absolutely. But the goals that they conceded, the penalties, 3 of them, all the same.
Yeah.
If you do it once, you go down the throat of the...
I mean, he lost one of the best.
Yeah.
Try and replace him with one of the best.
Yeah.
I'm thinking now at the top end of the pitch, would he take Jamie Vardy for a year? The form that he's in.
He's the king of Leicester. He isn't going anywhere.
No, I know,
Jamie
but there's got to be some sort of change at Man City. Otherwise, if they're not careful, 3 weeks down the line, they might be sitting 6 points behind Liverpool or more.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, with Liverpool playing tonight and Man City having missed the first game, you're already thinking if Liverpool win this evening, Man City are already looking at a gap. We need to look at 2 other goals because they were great goals. I mean, it was 5-2, but they were fantastic goals. Mahrez with the opening goal with his wrong foot. Go on, say what you were saying off air about hitting a volley with your wrong foot.
Me and Don said exactly the same thing. When you strike a ball like that with your wrong foot on the angle, all you're trying to do is connect towards goal. You have no idea where it's going. No idea.
That is unreal, though, isn't it?
He could do that 10, 20 more times, they'll all go in the stand.
They'd hit the cameraman. Yeah,
all over the place. It's just a gamble. You hit it as hard as you can with your bad foot.
Yeah.
It's like you on the golf course, Mark. Every now and again, you hit one pure. That's exactly what's happened there.
This was brilliant. Completely.
That's sensational, because you know he means this one, Maddison, because once he drops inside onto his right foot, you use the defender as a screen. Garcia doesn't get tight. That's bad defending. Goalkeeper's got no chance. It's right in the stanchion.
So as soon as Maddison slows down, there should be a defender going closer to him because he's slowing down to set his sights.
Yeah.
Let's finish with Leicester, because we all know that they may feel they should have got a Champions League place. They ran out of steam. Maddison was injured, had a lot of injuries, Pereira, towards the end of last season. The way that they played, if they can all be fit and playing like that, they should have another very good season, should they, in the top 6 or 7?
Yeah, all being fit. That's the big thing.
Key, isn't it?
That's the key for Leicester, keeping their key players fit and on the pitch. And then I think he'll have no problems in picking the same side when he needs to. 4 or 5 games, then he'll change it. But he has to keep people fit.
Recruitment's been good as well, isn't it?
Really
smart.
good. Castagna,
when
fantastic.
You lose Chilwell for 50,
Chilwell. Yeah.
you go and replace him with Castagna, who arguably might be better.
Yeah.
Recruitment seems to be good there.
The day that Vardy passes him by, he may be ill and may not be in the studio.
I'm not coming in.
You'll be in
What,
New
is
York.
that next Monday?
No, actually.